What's going on, family? It's your boy, Simo the C-Metro, checking in with another Falcons Bird Bath. And breaking news, man, just a couple of hours ago, the Falcons have hired Kevin Stefanski. And, man, it's a mixed bag right now, man. I'm not going to blow smoke to you guys. I'm not going to sit here and tell you that I know it's going to be okay. You know what, man? Let's get this light on right here real quick. Let's shine a little light on this a little bit more, baby. Yeah, so a lot of you guys out here upset that we hired Stefanski, and I want to know what's all the hate for. We got a guy who is a two-time NFL Coach of the Year, and he's had some pretty good rushing attacks up in Cleveland. He became Coach of the Year and won their first playoff game in like 20 years or something like that, with Baker Mayfield back in 2020, the first year that he took over. And even when we look back at some of his accolades in the past, he's taken like mediocre quarterbacks and made them look a lot better. I mean, Case Keenum back in when he was with the Vikings, which I'll pull up on the screen real quick for you while that loads right there. Case Keenum had an 11-3 record, with the Minnesota Vikings a few years ago when Kevin Stefanski was the offensive coordinator for the team, or the head coach of that team. Again, I want to know why you guys have a problem with Kevin Stefanski out here as the head coach. I believe that if you can win in Cleveland, and he didn't consistently win in Cleveland, I will give you guys that. He did not consistently win in Cleveland, but he was pretty good up in Cleveland most of the time. Again, he didn't really have a quarterback at all. He was never behind Deshaun Watson. He didn't want that. He didn't want them as a head coach or as his quarterback when he was there as a head coach. And for all intents and purposes, we know that basically the owner went against him and gave up 3 first-round draft picks 3 years in a row. And then he wasn't behind Shedeur Sanders either. And they drafted him after they had drafted a quarterback in the 3rd round. So they also didn't allocate very many resources to him. Nick Chubb got hurt while he was up there. They had to reset and retool with their running back situation this past year. But his defenses have been pretty solid up there. Right now, as far as we know, he's probably going to bring in Tommy Rees as his offensive coordinator. He's going to have Bill Callahan as his offensive line coach. We're not completely sure whether he's going to stay with Jeff Ulbrich here in Atlanta or if he's going to bring in Jim Schwartz. Jim Schwartz has typically run a 4-3 defense. Now, he's been with the Lions. He's been with a few other teams as well too. It goes back to even the Ravens back to like '98. But this past season and the season before, those Browns had some pretty good defenses, and I believe that Stefanski can bring a lot of stability to this team. His teams have not been very undisciplined. I think that they've been hard-nosed teams that go out and they have, again, very good rushing attacks. And I'll bring up the Case Keenum stats for you guys. Case Keenum, if you look here, back in 2017, an 11-3 record, 7 interceptions to 22 touchdowns on the year. And as you guys may or may not know, Case Keenum is a journeyman quarterback. That was, again, arguably his best season of his career ever. Took that team to the playoffs, and that Vikings team had a pretty good defense as well, too. I am not saying this Kevin Stefanski is the answer, but I think you need to put a little bit more respect on that man's name. Again, 2-time Coach of the Year, and I know a lot of you Falcons fans don't want to hear that. This is definitely the most Falcon thing to do, because if nothing else, for the sheer fact that the Falcons went and hired somebody that most of the fans didn't want. So you guys got to ask yourself, are you happier with this or Raheem Morris? Now, for his career, Kevin Stefanski, he's only won 1 playoff game. I'll give you that. He's only won 1 playoff game, but he's had some pretty good offenses up in Minnesota as well too. And I'm going to show you some of his accolades. And I put this in a previous video before, but he had been with Minnesota for a while, assistant head coach, assistant quarterbacks coach. We know that he can coach up quarterbacks. Like I said, he really got something out of Case Keenum. He had Kirk Cousins looking pretty good up there as well too. He runs the ball. He likes to run play action. He likes to run zone. He'll run power at you as well too. And Callahan's had some pretty good offensive lines, or has done pretty good with some of his offensive lines, provided that he hasn't always had the best talent. Again, we don't know what he's going to do with his defensive staff, but it does look like his offensive staff is going to be what it is, though. Had that Vikings team humming while he was the offensive coordinator up there. Now, I said head coach earlier, but it wasn't the head coach. But got that coordinator position, the interim coordinator position back in 2018, and then had it in 2019. After that, shortly went over to the Browns afterward. But I don't dislike it. I don't dislike the move totally. I'm not gonna sit here and tell you that this is the best move that the Falcons could have made. I truthfully 100% wanted Klint Kubiac, and we saw what Klint Kubiac did in the playoffs so far against the 49ers. Just really blew the brakes off of those guys. And when we played against the Seahawks earlier this year, they mopped the floor with us. They made us look pretty bad. I mean, if you look at the comment sections, and these are two of my homies, salute Jason Bedford, salute Kelly Scarlett. He's like, definitely lost me as a fan. But why? But Kate Marie, she gets it. Yes. God, you guys are so dramatic. Stefanski has won Coach of the Year twice in a playoff game in Cleveland. So there is hope. And people are laughing at that, but bruh, again, if you can win in Cleveland, I think that you can win in a few other places. He's had winning records up there. I think the last few years, yes, the record was a little bit worse. But again, you handcuff any coach without being able to give them first-round talent over 3 years, and then you give up a third and a fourth-round draft pick. I don't think that that's a recipe to help out your team. They've had some good defenses, but that hurts your special teams unit. That hurts being able to add some wide receivers to the mix. But I believe that he could definitely get Penix coached up here in Atlanta. So, you guys, let me know what you're thinking out there. I'm going to hop over to the comments real quick. Shout out Georgia, Texas boy. You like the new hire, huh? Tell me what you like about it. And that's not to be testing anybody's skill sets. I want you guys to let me know why you don't like him. I feel like a lot of people don't like Stefanski only because he didn't want to play Shedeur. And that's all they know about him. He didn't want to play Shedeur, and they had a bad record the last 2 years. Nobody's looking at him being Coach of the Year twice. And again, being Coach of the Year in Cleveland, that's crazy. Jimmy Blackburn, second best in cycle. I don't disagree with that necessarily. Red Eye, this is going to be a disaster. Do you think he is a better coach than Klint Kubiac? Man, I'm going to ask you this, Red Eye. Why do you think that Kubiac is a better head coach? I wanted Klint Kubiac, so don't get me wrong, and I'm not going to front because I sat here on this podcast, on this channel, and told you that my top two decisions that I wanted were Kubiac, and honestly, I did a whole video earlier about Robert Saleh because there was rumors that we were going to go after Saleh and that we were going to actually go after the executive out there with San Francisco. Name is drawing a blank for me. Give me 1 second. Let me look it up. That the 49ers executive that we were looking at, we said we still might get him as our general manager, Josh Williams. We were interviewing him and looking at him to fulfill Matt Ryan's position, and that's why I thought we were going to get Robert Saleh. But yeah, I think that he's more experienced than Klint Kubiac. He's definitely more experienced than Klint Kubiac. I just didn't think it was a sexy pick. I think that Klint Kubiac is probably definitely seems a little bit more innovative with his offenses. But again, a few years ago, Stefanski was a guy that they were looking at and touting to be an offensive-minded guy. I mean, he had that offense looking pretty good up there with Minnesota. Again, with nobody wants to talk about this, but with, again, in 2017, he did what he did with Case Keenum. Took that team to 11-3. Took the Vikings to 11-3 with Case Keenum. Put him in the playoffs. If you can get that type of production out of Case Keenum, I believe that you can actually do a lot better with somebody like Michael Penix. Had Kirk Cousins looking good, that's why he actually got the head coach. I mean, not the head coach, but the offensive coordinator position the next year, and had Kirk Cousins looking pretty good at that point in time. I think that Stefanski can do something with a little bit of talent. I think he can do something if you give him the type of talent that we have. We have Kyle Pitts out there. We have Drake London. He definitely likes to run the ball. I don't think that we're going to ever have any lapses in judgment with not getting Bijan Robinson enough touches. And if you get him a second running back, I believe he's going to run the ball as well, too. I'm talking about 8 years ago. Well, people talk about, you're funny, Red Eye. He says, I'm talking about 8 years ago. Well, my friend, people talk about how Mike Tomlin hadn't lost a playoff game in 20 years. I mean, hadn't had a losing season in 20 years. People talk about John Harbaugh's Super Bowl victory that he had before is why they wanted to bring him in here. People talk about Belichick having all the titles he won. We can't talk about what he did. We can't poo-poo on what he did before and look at him as funny now. You want to be real, 4 years ago he had Coach of the Year and he took Baker Mayfield. He had Baker Mayfield with his best season of his career. Up until that point, Baker Mayfield was starting to look like he might have been a bust. He wasn't looking great with Hugh Douglas out there. Hugh Jackson out there. So I don't think you could kind of crap on what he did. Again, two-time Coach of the Year. That's happened within the last 4 years. So we're talking about Case Keenum before and having Kirk Cousins looking really good up in Minnesota and having a pretty potent offense up there to actually having a pretty good offense in Minnesota. And that team was humming when they had Baker Mayfield up there. I'm going to see if I can get my internet connection is bad over here in the red room at the bar right now. But we see he's had top 3 finishes consistently with his rushing attacks. He's just struggled for overall offense. But back in 2020, 14th overall total offense and a strong playoff performance for sure. And this ain't me just reading this off of online. I mean, I'm reading to you, but I'm just giving you the facts to back it up. Again, this is an opinion I have based solely in facts. I'm going to give you guys a non-emotional stance on that. And if you haven't already, you're new to the channel, hit that like and subscribe for us down there, man. We want to get these numbers up to 1,000. I'll be sipping in some granddaddy Mims on our on our live episode once we hit to 1,000. And I'm going to do some smelling salt for you guys so you can get a kick out of that. But look at 2022. 13th in total overall offense, and they made the playoffs as well, too. Had a strong rushing attack in 2023, lower offensive ranking, but I'm not crapping on that. They were toward the bottom of the league in 2024. You got to remember, he had Nick Chubb get hurt out there a few times. But I don't think you can really poo-poo on, again, what he's done out there. Stefanski can coach up some X's and O's. So I don't think that you should. I think it's a lot of disrespect for a guy who's been, again, a 2 times Coach of the Year. Now, we'll see what happens here in Atlanta. I do think that he is going to utilize the long ball with Michael Penix. I think that this is a good thing for Michael Penix. Again, he got Baker Mayfield to his best season of his career at that point in time. I think Baker Mayfield was like 22 touchdowns and maybe something like 7 interceptions. Let's see if we can get that up here for you guys in a second, as a matter of fact. But Michael Penix's strengths are play action, just speaking of college and getting into the NFL. His strengths are play action and the deep ball. I think that if the Falcons can actually get us in the draft or in free agency a burner, and again, Alec Pierce is a guy that I'm really looking at that I would like to see us be able to get. But if we can't, I think there's some draft talent out there. We can get some athletes and some guys who can stretch the field. I like what Michael Penix. I think that's going to be a huge addition to Michael Penix's game. And I think that Kubiac is definitely going to utilize the play action. And if he can't utilize it with Michael Penix, we'll get him up out of here. But I think there's more to be happy about than not. Okay, let's look at this with Baker Mayfield. We're talking about the 2020 season, right? 26 touchdowns to 8 interceptions. His first 2 years, Baker Mayfield didn't have a winning season. Klint Kubiac comes in, takes them to an 11-5 season. 11-5 record. And gets Baker Mayfield's most efficient year. Cut down on the interceptions tremendously. Look at the first year. 14 interceptions. Then 21 interceptions to 22 touchdowns. 27 touchdowns the first year to 14 interceptions. We know Baker could put some TDs on the board. We know he can do some things with his legs. But I think he learned a lot from your boy Stefanski up in Cleveland that year. So I don't think you could be upset about that. He never really wanted to bring in Deshaun Watson up there allegedly, according to some of the beat writers with Cleveland and some of the stories out of Cleveland. So again, you tell me, Red Eye, why you don't want Kubiak out. Why you don't want Stefanski out here. Aside from the fact that he didn't want to play Shedeur early on. I think that this team needs a lot of discipline. I think that Stefanski can bring that. He's not he doesn't seem like a rah-rah guy. He's not the sexy pick, but that team came prepared basically week in and week out. And if you could take a team like that hasn't been winning and go ahead and get something out of it, and attract a few other free agents to there, they got some pretty good guys to come there. He knows what to do with his defense. He knows how to get out of the way of his coordinators. I think he picks coordinators pretty well as well, too. I'm really hoping that we can get him to keep Jeff Ulbrich here in Atlanta. This defense is really humming. I really like the scheme that we're in. I want to see us in this multiple front defense. Just not kind of sure what we're going to get out of Jim Schwartz if he brings him along with him. But all in all, I think there's more to be happy about with this hire than not in Atlanta. Now, again, we'll see. It's still early on, but you can't trip off top. Again, the guy who's been a 2-time Coach of the Year. Now, his record has not been great. I think his record. I'm gonna pull that up real quick for you. I think he's like 45. Yeah, 45 and 56. Now, again, I don't think ownership helped him out one bit. And let's pull up how many winning seasons he's actually had in Cleveland. I think it's only been 2 winning seasons out here in Atlanta. I'm sorry, up in Cleveland. So, 2020 winning season, 11 and 5, and let me get that up for you guys. Next year, 8 and 9, then 7 and 10, then 11 and 6. Then, of course, we go 3 and 14, then 5 and 12. Now, remember we said that they gave up the 3 first-round draft picks for Deshaun Watson, and he wasn't behind it. But Deshaun Watson never played a full season for those guys as well, too. So you give up that amount of draft picks for a guy who doesn't even consistently play a full season for you guys. I think that's a really hard. Really hard pill for any coach to want to be having to deal with at any given point in time. So let me hop back over here to some of these comments over here in the chat though, because I'm gonna get out of here in a little bit. Man, I got to get up early. I got an AV gig to do tomorrow, 9 a.m. But I need you guys to let me know why you don't want it. Why you don't want them. Right, a few years ago. But this league changes very quickly. The league does change very quickly. I don't think the league has changed that much over the last few years. It's been a pretty pass-happy league for... This league's been pretty pass-happy for a while. I don't think that's a new thing. The league has been... The rules have been geared for offenses. The NFL has wanted to see high-scoring offenses at least for the last 8 to 10 years anyway. When we went to the Super Bowl, it was a pass-happy league. You got to think about it. We ran the ball a lot, but Matt Ryan had his MVP season, and why did we lose in the playoffs? Why did we lose in the Super Bowl? 28-3. It was because we decided not to run the ball. We still got pass happy. This league has been a passing league for quite some time. Even then, our base defense at that point in time was basically nickel. And we kind of bragged and touted about that, how our base defense is nickel. And I think a lot of the beat writers at the time and pundits, they were criticizing us for saying, how are you going to have a base nickel defense? So we were ahead of the curve in that regard. So I think this is a weak cop-out for hating him. Again, if you want to tell me that you're not sure about him, you don't like the record that he had up in Cleveland, I'm not upset about that. I'm not gonna blow smoke up your tail. I'm not gonna sit here in front like there's not a good reason to be concerned. The record is a little concerning. The last couple of years, it was pretty bad. But allegedly from all the reports that we hear out of Cleveland, players like playing for him. Players believed in the system. I don't think he lost the team necessarily per se. So I think we just got to give him a chance. We still don't have our general manager yet. It's going to be interesting to see what they come up with that. I don't like the fact that we didn't hire a general manager and let him put his input on who he wanted to have out here as the head coach. But at this point in time, we're kind of stuck with what we have. And again, this is not the sexiest pick. I'm not going to lie to you guys. But I believe that we can get a lot out of our rushing attack. And that's going to open up our passing game a whole lot more. I believe that he has more weapons here in Atlanta than he would have had up in Cleveland. And this is the best running back that he's ever had at his disposal. And I don't think that he's not going to be utilizing Bijan Robinson. We're definitely going to get our runs out of him. But I think that he's going to be able to put him in space and get the ball in his hand a lot better. And again, if we can get another wide receiver to take the top off the defense, I really like what we're going to do with them. I think that Stefanski understands the concept of keep it simple, stupid, and I don't think he's going to be overthinking things. And at times with Zach Robinson, we just had lapses in good play calls and judgment in the game where we just shied away from the run far too many times. Stefanski's a throwback guy that's going to run the ball. And again, he wants to get something out of his passing attack. But we know that he can coach up. He's coached multiple positions on the offensive side, but we know that he can get the best out of his quarterbacks and kind of show him Penix out there, hey, take what's available. I think that we'll be able to get Penix to use his legs a little bit more as well, too. I'm not hoping that he does that a whole lot. But I think that Stefanski's going to tell him, hey, just keep the ball moving. Just keep the chains moving. Take the short dump down. Take what the defense is giving you. And if you look at it a few years ago, I said he had Nick Chubb. But remember, they had that 1-2 punch with Kareem Hunt. He's going to use a pass-catching running back out of the backfield. They're going to get screen passes. They're going to get the ball to their running backs in space. He's going to use that back out of the backfield very often. Again, it's not the sexiest pick, but I don't think we need splash. I think we've done a lot to go for coaches that have not been experienced in the past, and I think that that's a lot to be said about this. I think that that's something definitely to be happy with. Dan Quinn, it took him a couple years to get it going. You guys want to see playoffs and instant results right away. I think it would be a little bit unfair and a little disingenuous to expect if we would have hired Klint Kubiac, for example, or some other first-year head coach that's supposed to be this offensive genius or some type of genius or guru to come in and win right away. Now, Ben Johnson did that, but that is not the norm in a lot of these situations. Cohen did that down with the Jaguars after leaving Tampa Bay. But we've tried that before. It took Dan Quinn a couple of years to get it going. Arthur Smith, he was never able to get over that hump. Raheem Morris didn't have a winning season. I think going with a proven head coach, and again, you navigated a shitstorm like Cleveland. I hope they don't demonetize me for that. But you navigated a crap storm like Cleveland. If you can go to the playoffs twice in Cleveland, and nobody wants to come to Cleveland. Think about that, man. It's hard to win in Cleveland. You need a really strong arm quarterback up there. So, and they haven't had the best. I don't think that Baker Mayfield is more talented than what Michael Penix is. I don't think that Joe Flacco is more talented than what Michael Penix is. I don't think that they have naturally better tools than Michael Penix. So give the man a chance, and we'll see what happens. I will keep you guys posted and up to date with any moves as they continue to moving forward. I think in the next few days we're going to find out exactly who the full staff is completely. He's not made any declarations on his defensive staff so far. As far as I know, he's coming back with Tommy Rees. And again, he's going to go with Callahan as his offensive line coach. It'll be interesting to see what they do with a lot of their other position coaches. I'm not sure if I think he's bringing most of his Cleveland staff over as far as offensive staff. And that, I think that I think it's a good sign that he hasn't hired or declared who his defensive staff is yet. If we can keep Ulbrich and keep Nate Ollie, and I like a lot of those other guys on that defense as well too. I like Rudenberg. I like Mike Rudenberg and what we were able to get out of him. I like having Rudd out there. I really like the defensive staff that we had, and I would be concerned if we don't keep them. But again, he hasn't had bad coordinators in the past. That Cleveland defense has been pretty good. I mean, I know they had Myles Garrett and they had some really good defensive studs out there, but we do too. Defense is effort and speed, and as long as we go with an attack style defense, which Jim Schwartz likes to do, I believe we're going to be pretty good. Add us a wide receiver, add us a cornerback, add us a little bit of depth on the defensive line, and maybe add us a linebacker at some point in time. I think get us a good backup quarterback. Remember, he had Jacoby Brissett up there as well too. So I believe that if we add a few of these other pieces, we could definitely be a playoff team next year. We could really make some noise. I'm not sure if Michael Penix is going to start the year off, but you don't want to have a situation where we're not going to Penix, or we're not having Penix as our starting quarterback next year once he's healthy. And again, I did a previous video. I'll link it down here in the description. Michael Penix, the reason I think that we should be happy about him is, one, he has a strong arm. He's really good with the football. He's good at play action, but he's really good with the football. He does not make bad throws or make ill-advised throws. He's very judicious with the football, almost to a fault sometimes. I think that Kevin Stefanski is going to be able to coach it out of them to go for some of these other plays that are there, that are NFL open. I think that Penix has been a little bit conservative with some of his passes, that he could probably thread into some of those windows. And he doesn't fumble the ball. And most importantly, he is not a drive stopper because he doesn't eat a lot of sacks. So I think that he's arguably our best quarterback that we've had over the past few years in terms of his talent and what we could do with him. I think that if they were able to get this out of Kirk Cousins last year, because think about it, Cousins has more experience, but I don't think he's a better quarterback. I don't think he's a more talented quarterback than Michael Penix. But again, stay tuned. I'll hit you guys with any updates as they come ASAP, as they come along the pipeline right away. And we'll go live as it happens. Stay tuned. Check out my previous videos about some of the coordinators and some of the guys that I like that we can still kind of go after. C-Mo to C. Mitchell. Check it out for Point Game Official and the Falcons Bird Bath, baby. Peace.